Hi folks, and now it's time to move on to the 17D, the Hoveringham Foden tipper. So we looked at the 17C. This is the D. So this is the fourth model in the 17 range. This is picture box range only. And as you can see there on first looks, it's like, oh Graham, you got 6 models exactly the same. And yeah, there's no major sort of differences on the Hoveringham tipper. So I'll do the models first because it's quite easy really. Okay, so we're all talking about a dark red cabin chassis and the orange tipper with the Hoveringham logo on the side here. Early ones will have Hoveringham decals and later ones have Hoveringham labels, and I've explained the difference before. And the only other sort of physical difference from the surface is the early ones did have a silver painted grille, okay, and the later ones, they admitted that, so we just call that either unpainted or red. The only really differences come as, again, Stannard guides, but also underneath on the early ones, they actually put these little plastic suspension pieces in, okay, so the wheels would sort of like, have a sort of suspension to them, so it gave it a bit more of a play value type thing. So rather than the wheels sort of bouncing around on the chassis, they put these little suspension pieces in it. And if you look under the Hoveringham tippers, you will see various variations of those. The suspension pieces, I've seen them as white, I've seen them in red, I've seen them in a clear, like a translucent sort of green type colour. And they do have various sort of degrees of elasticity, because the translucent green ones, they seem to snap, okay, and they're basically located underneath the sort of front and rear axle, and it just acts as a little type spring. So if you're looking for variations, there's more to look for on the base, but it's not the sort of thing you'll physically see from above, okay. I look for those variations because, as you can see, I've actually got 6 box variations. On the later models, okay, they actually completely stopped doing the suspension pieces, and had this little casting hole underneath where the suspension piece would like clip in, okay, and even on later issues they actually blanked that hole off. So people would say that's more of a Stannard variation, but I look for those because, as I said, because there's 6 box designs. Okay, long production run, 62 to around 68, early 69, so several years. Because I think you'll agree, it's a great model. It's a lovely little thing, and it's one of those cabs that when I was a kid, I remember those trucks going down the road, those old Fodens. Okay, box styles, because of the production run, we go through the D box years and through the E, and it was like it was deleted just before the start of the F-type box, so no F-type box for that. Okay, so first D box issue, okay, shows a sort of if you look, it's an interesting variation here. You'll see the actual tipper sort of interferes with the Matchbox H here, okay, and on the later ones it doesn't. They've actually brought it away from the Matchbox logo. So the early one, a bit like an E2 box, it had this little illustration here, but instead of putting it on the end flap, they put it on the front of the box. And there's 1 or 2 other D boxes like that as well. So the first one to look for will be the new model with the yellow illustration here. So that's the first type D box, and the second type D box is basically exactly the same, but it doesn't have the new model text there either. Okay, then we move on to the next D style box, which again is very, very similar, but you'll see here now they put a white illustration on the front there as well, so that's sort of quite interesting. And and I think because the model had such a long production run, they did keep changing or upgrading the boxes. And as I said before, that there's a lot of models that just kept in that one style box, particularly some in super fast years, just that one box for 5 years with no variations to it whatsoever. But here, 3 D type boxes, okay, and we also have 3 E type boxes. We've got 2 E3s and an E4, So a completely redesigned box there. Okay, and they've gone to showing the model, you know, just sort of side on. So you can't see the front of the cab on this, where you can on this one here. Now, also, as you'll see, two E3 style boxes, and this one I think's great. You know, they actually put a little reverse picture of the model in there. Okay, that's actually a hard box to find. Okay, but I love that. I think that it's very similar to the 15C refuse truck, but there's a very short production run on these. So why they omitted it, I don't really know, because I think that looks really good. So you've got the two E3 style boxes. Essentially, the artwork of the model sort of remains constant, and the only difference is obviously the reverse model here. Okay, and the only differences with those two is basically the E3 and the E4. So that covers pretty much the 17D on boxes and models. Matching box art. Then you got the early one here. I mean, they all pretty much box art, but the D box does show a silver bumper, whereas you know the production models didn't show a silver bumper. But apparently there is like a sort of very first issue that comes with a silver bumper, so that's one to look out for. It's quite hard to find, and the later ones, as you can see, excuse me, they dropped all the silver trim. Okay, so these with the matching E boxes, excuse me, match quite well there. So that's the 17D. Thanks for watching. Take care all. See you soon. Bye bye.